In the heart of Manila, a 15-year-old boy named Miguel Santos sang every evening on the narrow streets, his voice echoing between old concrete buildings and the scent of street food. The locals knew him as the singing kid. With worn-out sandals and a second-hand guitar, Miguel performed songs for coins and smiles. His father repaired tricycles under the hot sun, while his mother sold rice meals to feed the family. Life was difficult, but Miguel never complained. He found joy in the sound of music, in the way people stopped to listen. Music was his escape, his dream, and his way of helping his parents. Every night, after the streets grew quiet, Miguel would sit on the roof of their small home with an old phone that barely worked. He watched America's Got Talent clips over and over, studying every move, every emotion, every word from Simon Cowell. He whispered to himself, "One day, that will be me." It seemed impossible, a boy from a poor neighborhood, dreaming of a stage halfway across the world. But dreams have a strange way of finding their path. One humid afternoon, a tourist recorded Miguel singing, "I Will Always Love You," in front of a small store. His voice was so powerful, so emotional, that people stopped their cars just to listen. The video spread online like wildfire. Within days, it reached millions of views. Miguel couldn't believe it when strangers from other countries began leaving comments. "This boy has an angel's voice, he deserves to be on AGT." And then, one morning, while helping his mother carry rice bags, his old phone buzzed with a new email. The subject line read, "Invitation to audition for America's Got Talent." At first, Miguel thought it was a prank. But when his father confirmed it was real, the family cried together in disbelief. For the first time, Miguel saw his father's eyes wet with tears of pride. They sold a few of their belongings to help him travel. The neighborhood came together, collecting money, praying for him. The entire community believed that if one of them could stand on that big American stage, then maybe anything was possible. When Miguel stepped onto an airplane for the first time, he felt like he was flying not just across the world, but toward destiny itself. He held his small backpack tightly. Inside were a few shirts, a photo of his family, and a rosary his mother had pressed into his hand. "No matter how far you go, remember who you are," she had whispered at the airport. Miguel had never seen her cry like that. His father hugged him long and hard, saying, "You're already a winner to us, son." The flight to Los Angeles was long. Miguel watched the clouds outside and imagined the crowd, the lights, the judges. When he landed, the city felt like a dream. Tall buildings, shining cars, and faces from all around the world. Everything seemed too big, too fast. During rehearsals, other contestants practiced their acts confidently, but Miguel felt nervous and small. He didn't have fancy clothes or professional training. All he had was his heart and his voice. That night, alone in his small hotel room, he prayed quietly, "God, give me strength. This is for my family." He looked at the rosary, kissed it, and placed it under his pillow. Sleep didn't come easily. The sound of his mother's laughter, the smell of his father's workshop, and the noise of Manila's busy streets filled his mind. He realized that no matter how far he traveled, those memories were his foundation. When morning came, Miguel felt a calm determination. He put on his simplest white shirt, combed his hair carefully, and whispered to his reflection, "You belong here." Outside the hotel, the sun was rising over Los Angeles, golden and warm. Somewhere across the city, a stage was waiting for him, the stage that had lived in his dreams for years. And in that moment, Miguel Santos, the boy from Manila, knew that his life was about to change forever. The bright lights of the stage blinded Miguel as he took his first step forward. The massive theater buzzed with whispers and excitement, cameras rolling, and faces turned toward him. His heart pounded so loudly that he could barely hear the host announce his name. When Simon Cowell looked up at him, Miguel froze for a moment. The man he had watched on YouTube for years was now sitting just a few feet away, waiting for him to sing. His palms were sweaty, and his voice trembled as he introduced himself. "My name is Miguel Santos, I'm 15 years old, and I came from Manila, Philippines." The crowd cheered loudly at the mention of his home country, giving him a rush of warmth and courage. Simon smiled softly and asked, "What will you be singing for us today?" Miguel took a deep breath and replied, "I'll be singing, 'You Raise Me Up.' This is for my parents." The music began, a gentle piano melody filling the air. His first note was quiet, almost shaky, but it carried emotion so real that the audience leaned forward. As he sang, memories of home flooded his mind, his mother's tired face, his father's hands covered in grease, the nights they prayed together under the dim light of their small kitchen. By the time he reached the chorus, his fear had vanished. His voice grew stronger, purer, rising through the theater like a wave. Every word carried love, hope, and gratitude. When he hit the final high note, the entire audience stood up, clapping, shouting, cheering. Miguel looked around in disbelief as tears rolled down his face. He saw Simon lower his head, eyes glistening with tears. For a long moment, the judge didn't speak. Then he said, his voice thick with emotion, "That was one of the most beautiful performances I've ever heard." The other judges praised him, too, calling him the heart of the season. But what happened next changed Miguel's life forever. Simon pressed the golden buzzer. The sound of it echoed through the theater as golden confetti exploded above him. Miguel dropped to his knees, crying uncontrollably. The host rushed on stage to hug him. Simon stood and said, "You reminded us why we love music." Miguel looked up at the lights through his tears, thinking of his parents watching back home. In that moment, his dream had come true. Overnight, the video of his audition spread across the world. News headlines read, "Filipino teen makes Simon Cowell cry." Millions of people shared his performance, calling it one of the most emotional moments in AGT history. Back in Manila, his family's small house was filled with neighbors watching the replay over and over. His mother wept as golden confetti fell on the TV screen, whispering, "That's my son." In Los Angeles, Miguel's life changed completely. He started doing interviews, photo shoots, and rehearsals. Fans sent him letters, gifts, and messages from every continent. He stayed humble, often sending videos home to show his parents the hotel room, the city lights, and his favorite food discoveries. But fame also came with pressure. Reporters wanted stories, producers wanted perfection, and other contestants saw him as a serious threat. Miguel sometimes felt overwhelmed, but he remembered what his father said, "Stay grounded. You are who you were before the stage." During rehearsals for the next round, Miguel struggled to choose his song. He wanted something honest, something that represented who he truly was. One of the mentors told him, "You don't have to impress anyone. Just sing from your heart, that's what made the world love you." Those words reminded him of why he started singing in the first place. Back in his hotel room, Miguel practiced late into the night, standing by the window overlooking the glowing city. He whispered to himself, "This isn't just about winning. It's about showing the world that a kid from the streets of Manila can dream big." He smiled, picked up his guitar, and softly began to sing. The same voice that once echoed through the narrow streets of his hometown was now reaching millions. His journey had only just begun, but one thing was certain, the boy who sang with his heart was now a symbol of hope for countless others who dared to dream. The night of the semi-finals arrived, and Miguel could feel his heart beating faster than ever before. The AGT theater was filled with thousands of cheering fans holding signs with his name. He had chosen a song no one expected, an original piece called, "Home in My Heart." It was a song he had written secretly during his long nights in Los Angeles, inspired by his parents and the home he missed so deeply. The lyrics told the story of a boy chasing his dream far away, carrying his family's love inside him wherever he went. As the lights dimmed, the stage transformed into a glowing city skyline. A single spotlight fell on Miguel. He stood there, small and humble, holding his microphone close. The first notes of his song were soft and trembling, but they carried a depth that silenced the crowd. Behind him, the giant screen showed black and white images of Manila, children playing in the streets, mothers cooking, fathers working. Miguel's voice rose with every verse, pure and powerful. He sang not just with skill, but with every emotion in his soul. By the final chorus, tears streamed down his face. The audience stood again, many crying with him. The judges rose to their feet in applause. Heidi called it the most emotional original song ever on this stage, while Howie said, "You don't just sing, you make people feel." Then Simon, his eyes filled with pride, said softly, "That song could win you this entire competition. It's real, it's honest, and it came straight from your heart." Miguel smiled through his tears, whispering, "Thank you." That night, when he returned to his hotel, he called his parents through video chat. His mother was crying so hard she could barely speak. "You made all of us proud, Anik," she said. His father, holding back tears, smiled and said, "You showed the world what it means to be Filipino." Miguel didn't sleep that night, he replayed the moment in his head over and over. He knew he had done something special, not just for himself, but for every kid who dreamed beyond their circumstances. The days before the finals were the hardest. The pressure was immense. Reporters followed him everywhere, fans waited outside his hotel, and every rehearsal was packed with cameras. Miguel stayed focused, practicing his final song, a duet with a famous American singer who had been deeply moved by his story. They worked together to blend English and Filipino lyrics into one emotional performance called One Voice. The song symbolized unity, hope, and the power of dreams. On the night of the finals, the entire world seemed to be watching. The lights, the stage, the massive audience, everything felt larger than life. When Miguel stepped out, he felt no fear. The music began, and his voice soared, harmonizing beautifully with his partner. The crowd waved glowing lights as his Filipino lyrics filled the hall. Simon looked emotional again, his eyes never leaving the boy he had discovered. When the final note ended, the audience erupted in thunderous applause, chanting his name. Though Miguel didn't win the AGT trophy, it didn't matter. The world had already fallen in love with him. The judges stood and clapped as confetti rained down once more. Simon came to the stage, shook his hand, and whispered something that only Miguel could hear: "You've already won." Those words meant everything. A few weeks later, Miguel returned home to Manila. The airport was packed with people, fans, neighbors, and even local reporters waiting to welcome him. His parents ran to him with open arms, crying as they hugged him tightly. That night, under the same stars where he once sang to strangers, Miguel sang again, this time for his people. His voice echoed through the streets, stronger and prouder than ever. Months passed, and Miguel released his first international album dedicated to dreamers around the world. He used part of his earnings to start a foundation that provided free music lessons for poor children in the Philippines. Simon sent him a handwritten letter saying, "You reminded the world what music can do, it connects hearts." Miguel smiled as he read it, whispering, "Dreams really do come true." And as he stood on that same rooftop in Manila, guitar in hand, he sang softly to the night sky, the same sky that once carried his dreams all the way to the biggest stage in the world.